That's, from my point of view, a testimony on our strength, on our power, on our magic. Because we can actually make these things happen because we believe it will. Hello, welcome back, everybody. This morning was so nice and sunny, and I actually did get to go outside, so I got some vitamin D, which, as you can see, I absolutely need because I think I'm the exact same shade as my white sweater and the wall. Anyway, this is the best I got for you today. This is going to be another talky video about tarot readings and, well, three topics basically, but they're all kind of connected the way I see it. Self-fulfilling prophecy in predicting the future. So, in my opinion, why it's better to stay away from doing those. Then there's the difference between doing third-party readings and including someone into your reading. How one is more respectful than the other and why. And then I got a question underneath my Why I Quit Tarot video, which wasn't me quitting tarot, obviously, because I'm still here. But I was talking about all the Why I Quit Tarot videos out there on YouTube and why, well, basically it bothers me. So, before we get into it, major disclaimer here, you do what you want. You don't have to agree with me at all. I just want to have this talk. I just want to express my opinions and views. That was basically what I wanted to say beforehand. And now let's get into it. Let's start with the difference between third-party readings and including someone into your reading. So, as you may know, I do a lot of readings at the store. I'm not just an online tarot reader. Yeah, it's also a lot of face-to-face stuff, and most of them are very short readings. So, a lot of people actually don't know, my beliefs and the way I work, don't know who I am, basically, which is absolutely fine. But I feel usually, when someone books a reading with me online, it's because they have seen at least one or two videos of mine, and therefore they have a bigger chance of knowing what I stand for. Now, in the store, it's very spontaneous, even though there is a list and I can get fully booked on the day itself. There still is that aspect of first time, just sitting down. So, very unprepared, you could say. Now, I really love that spontaneity. It's one of the things I love about doing face to face short tarot readings at the store. But it happens every so often, and in any type of setting, honestly, that a person wants to know how somebody else is doing. And then, in a short amount of time, because we only have 15 minutes, I actually have to explain to them quickly and respectfully, of course, that basically I don't do that because I don't think I don't approach the tarot in this way. Therefore, it's also even a little bit difficult for me to read the cards in this way, how someone else is doing. Of course, when someone, the client, absolutely wants to know and insists on asking this question and having it answered any way possible, then, I will just say, okay, well, let's just see what comes up. Understanding, both of us, that you have to take it with a grain of salt, and it's it's not something I would do. And as a tarot reader, most of us will agree, it's not just reading the cards. We actually also learn a lot from what it means to be a reader. Therefore, we also even see what works for people, what types of readings actually are helpful, what types of readings are empowering, and what types of readings aren't. And we stay away from those. And the third-party readings, meaning you explain something or you try to read something in the cards about a person who isn't there, privacy issue already, stay away from those kinds of readings, is one of those. So you know what? The type of question that's what do I do about this friend is a much more respectful way to handle the situation in question than asking something along the lines of what is going to happen to my friend, or will my friend come back to me, or you see what I mean? What's going on with them? It should always come from the perspective of the person asking the question, the person who is present during the tarot reading, according to me at least. That's more respectful, also just more helpful, because of course I guess you can get some insights on how to approach this acquaintance of yours by having an idea of how they're doing. But that's you thinking of what you could do. Wouldn't it be a better, almost like a shortcut, even though I don't like those, but almost a better plan, honestly, to just ask the cards, how do I approach my friend? How do I approach this person? And then you get the cards and you get a much more straightforward answer. These are just part of my values and the things I find important as a tarot reader. Now, I'm trying to not preach in this sense. Actually, I think it was last month, I did one of those short readings for a person in the store. They said they loved the reading, they thanked me, they were happy with it, and then they added this comment, which was very well intended. They said, "I'm so glad that you're not the preachy kind of tarot reader," which I took as a compliment. And of course, that's nice, but it's funny how the brain works where someone gives you a compliment and it's from an unexpected angle. I mean, wouldn't you agree? I never thought of that. Tarot readers maybe being preachy. But then it made me think, by receiving that compliment of somebody telling me I was doing well, I wasn't being preachy, I thought maybe I am being preachy in other types of readings. For instance, the opening act on Patreon, a one-card reading I do every month. And maybe sometimes in these types of videos. You know what I mean? Where I'm actually explaining my point of view and being passionate about it and knowing what it is I believe in, or rather what my ideas are about it, because a belief might be too rigid, but an idea can always change according to the information that finds you. But yeah, it definitely was a moment, and afterwards as well, a week at least of self-reflection. Was I truly deserving of that comment? In that same day, I remember there actually was somebody who had their reading and we had a couple minutes left, and so I tend to ask, is there anything you want to know? Is there anything else you want to ask? Do you want to know about these cards that are on the table, or do you want to maybe pick a last one? And she wanted to pick a last one for another question. So this question was third party type of question about somebody else. My disclaimer just naturally came out, just explaining to them quite honestly, it's not the way I work, and we can definitely pull a card, but just know that this reading, so far at least, you understand that, right? That this reading is for you. So I would feel much more comfortable, and I think it would be much more helpful for you, more importantly, after all, it's their time, to come up with a question that highlights you approaching them. So the question is for you, but you include the other person. Hope that made sense. Let's look at this other deck that I have right here. Okay, so the self-fulfilling prophecy. This is interesting, and I thought I was going to make a whole video about just that, but turned out, I don't know, I think maybe it fits into just one that is about similar topics. The self-fulfilling prophecy, aka another reason to stay away from predicting the future. So, hot take, right? I believe, to a certain extent, that what is said and what a person believes comes true. Again, to a certain extent, I'm not very hard set on this idea, but from what I've heard, whenever people got their futures predicted, actually, I should say, from the people who accurately got their future predicted, and really life-changing, big, important things. For instance, I know of a person, and I really don't want to disrespect this person in saying they have created that life. I have questions about how this works. I think a part of it is very possibly a self-fulfilling prophecy. Once you hear that, you absorb that information, you believe it, you start, maybe even without realizing it, you start to make this happen in your life. You start to make the necessary changes and different attitudes to make this a reality. Because maybe even hearing that, it's quite possible that this was almost a secret wish of that person that they weren't aware of, was hidden in their subconscious. It's quite possible. But anyway, this person is fully convinced that they got their future told, and very accurately, because look, it's the proof. Look at, my life. That all of that happened. I hope I'm, again, not coming off disrespectful, because from my point of view, being careful with these types of predictions, I don't believe that we are, victims of fate. I do believe, I do think we have a certain control, a certain say over matters. We can actually take matters into our own hands, and we can actually change things, change the course of action. So these, I guess, are just differences of opinion. So this person got their fortune told, their future predicted, and the prediction was about very big life events, life-changing things, really huge life-altering things. They were going to get 3 children with one partner. Then they were going to move to another country to find a new love. Actually, that story is not true, but it's to conceal the identity of the person I have in mind, and also to be a bit mindful of them and their life, because after all, I wasn't there. I wasn't there during all those years, those decades where all of this took place. They know if they actually had some say and some control and some basically direction in all of these life events. They sure did happen exactly the way it was predicted. But again, from my point of view, it raises the question of self-fulfilling prophecy does exist. This sounds like a textbook example. And the question then is, was it predicted because it was already in the stars or something? Or did it happen because it was predicted and you heard it? I know, tough question. It's always good to keep those things in mind when you have your fortune told or anything of the sorts. If you believe that fully, if you blindly believe that, there's a very big chance that you're going to do everything in your power subconsciously to actually make that prediction come true, the good and the bad. And actually, that's, from my point of view, a testimony on our strength, on our power, on our magic, because we can actually make these things happen because we believe it will. It's kind of insane and mind-blowing, just like this Ace of Swords. Please, of course, let me know in the comments what you think about all this. What's your point of view? Where do you stand? Last topic. Okay, so here is the comment I got. I got a lot of comments. Thank you. I love that. Comments on the Why I Quit Tarot video. How do you suppose a tarot reader who is not psychic or is not in touch with their psychic abilities knows which card to pull? My answer was short, simple, snappy. I suppose they rely on synchronicity. The funny thing is, I loved their response to that. The response was, "This is a smart answer, Anna. I really had no idea how a tarot reader who does not believe they have or actually does not have any psychic abilities would answer this question. The idea always baffled me. It is strange to me. When I do a reading and the cards are so on point, I know I have a connection to the cards, that they feel my energy and I feel theirs. I may not be able to get my head around how a tarot reader could not give themselves some sort of credit for being able to pick the right cards, to see that card standing out amongst all the others and know without a shadow of a doubt that that card has something to say. I cannot imagine a reader just picking a card without that feeling. I cannot imagine how they would not wait for the feeling. But as I reflect on your answer, it is becoming a little more within my grasp of understanding. Very foreign, though. I just paused again for 5 minutes reflecting on your answer. I just love that. So open to it, you know? Whereas at first, I kind of got the idea that maybe, even though I know this viewer, I mean, I recognize the viewer from previous videos, maybe they had a little bit of that moment of, aha, caught you. You won't be able to answer that, will you? So your video doesn't make any sense, or your point. I mean, why not? That's good, right? We challenge each other. My answer back was, incredible, isn't it, that there are so many ways to read cards, even pick cards. That's what I'm saying. Everybody operates in a different way. I don't think there's a definite right or wrong. I just do think that it's nice to be aware of your options. This is so freeing, isn't it? The tarot does not dictate the way you think. The tarot does not have to influence what you believe in. The tarot does not have a say necessarily in what you should believe. The tarot, using the tarot doesn't mean you have to be a psychic, and therefore also it doesn't mean that you have to believe that you're a psychic or that you have to become a psychic. Now we're talking about this psychic stuff and all, but do you see what I mean? It's so incredibly vast. There are so many options, and a lot of us, including myself, can't help it, can't know everything, are unaware of how other people operate. This is why these types of talks are important, because the prejudice that we might have, I'm including myself here, the prejudice that we might have sometimes, even without wanting it to be anything malicious or something, then falls apart, or at least has the chance, has the opportunity to fall away. And we can just agree that we do things differently, and even that can change at any point. And we just become people again. To completely explain, hopefully, how I feel about this, about how you pick cards, there's definitely a feeling, there's an intuition, there's an inclination to pick one card and not the other, or you listen to the deck in some way. But the main thing for me on how people pick cards, I believe you get the cards that you're supposed to have at this particular time. This is also known as synchronicity. That is the main thing for me. That is what I believe in. Why you should always trust the cards. Don't you ever dare to say, I don't feel this card fits my reading. Therefore, I'm going to completely discard this message. Plenty of people do this. Did you know that? Okay, fine, that's a different approach. But in my tarot world, we don't ignore any message. That's all I'm saying. I certainly hope this was a fun video for you to watch, and hopefully you can interact with me in the comment section. I would really love to hear what you have to say on all of this, on these three main topics, and then also on the little side topics that came along. Thanks so much for being here. If by any chance this was your first video of mine, take the time to subscribe. I have many other videos coming up. I upload every week, and well, plenty for you to watch as well. So of course, let me know if you're new here in the comments so I can give you a proper welcome. And either way, I will see all of you next week. Thanks so much.